Matthew Abbott. He is a conservationist who wants to take something away. It's the Milltown Dam in St. Stephen, New Brunswick on the Scoodic, or as you might say, the St. Croix River. Good morning.
Good morning, Alan.
Now, how did your organization decide to get in the same boat with the Beskotomakati Nation and others? You've got a lot of conservation issues in the province. Why'd you pick this one?
Well, the Conservation Council of New Brunswick, as you know, is an over 50-year-old organization. We've been interested in the health of the St. Croix River for a long time. My predecessors were working on this in the 80s, in the 90s, and I've been working on it for over a decade. And so we know that the health of the St. Croix River is really important to the health of the communities that live on it. It's also important to the health of the Bay of Fundy. And so we've long been interested in the health of the St. Croix River. We supported and led alongside the Beskotomakati Nation in 2012, 2013, an effort to get fishways open to the fish. And ever since then, we've been working collaboratively with the incredible leadership of the Beskotomakati Nation and with many other partners, local communities, commercial fisheries, salmon conservation groups, and others. And we've been looking for ways to improve the health of the river. We've done this by looking at culverts, improving culverts. We've done this by improving lake habitat. And we've done this by having a study of all the dams on the river, looking at the impacts, starting to think and do engineering work and everything else on how we might get more fish past these dams and up the river and into their natural habitat. And so when MB Power decided to remove the Milltown Dam, we were supportive of that decision, and we committed to work with them to help them do it right for the benefit of the fish and the communities and all the critters that rely on this amazing little fish called alewife or Gaspereau that swims up the river every spring.
Now, you mentioned culverts. I'm trying to picture how improving a culvert, I've seen them, they can break, they can cave in, they can collect rocks. What's your take on culverts?
Well, if a culvert, a culvert is used so that we can build a road or a railway or other infrastructure and still pass water through it. And so if that culvert's sitting too high, a fish isn't going to be able to swim through it, right? So if it's sitting high and creating a little unnatural waterfall that's too tall for the fish to get up, or without the rocky surface it uses to climb a natural waterfall, then you've effectively blocked fish. And so every stream crossing a road is a potential barrier to fish. And so, yes, we're looking at the dams, but we're also looking at all aspects of the ecosystem through our restoration program.
Now let me try one more time on the rationale for getting involved with this project, because it is ultimately people who will benefit from this food source and an improved environment and so on and so forth. Right now, the world is going a little crazy because unemployment in America is reaching about 20%. Well, that's what it's been like in northern New Brunswick since as long as I can remember, and I was an undergraduate. That's just normal. It's not the new normal, it's normal. So there surely must have been numerous other projects that you could have hitched your wagon to that might have more directly helped more people, or am I wrong?
I see this project as a great benefit to people, as well as a benefit to whales and ground fish and seabirds that also rely on these fish. Already we've seen significant job creation associated with the restoration program. Compare a couple important jobs at a hydroelectric facility like Milltown. Compare those to the 2 year-round up to 7 seasonal jobs that have already been created just through restoration efforts. We need people all throughout the watershed looking at each and every one of those culverts we've talked about. We need people tagging fish, monitoring fish. We need people doing the year-round work to understand what they're doing. And right now, we've had about 500,000 fish coming up the river. We had a modern low of 900 fish, But even if we're just looking at the level of jobs, with removing Milltown and dealing with fish passage at all the major barriers on the river, it's not at all out of the question that we'll be seeing 5 million fish, 10 million fish. So we're excited about 500,000, and I think we'll be very excited about 5 million. And 5 million fish is a lot of food for whales, seals, porpoise, everything else, but it's a lot of available bait for the lobster fishery. It's a boon to whales, is a boon to the tourism industry. If whales find more of what they need in the Bay of Fundy and they're coming in further into shore to eat the alewife, that's very good for the tourism industry. So, you know, we often hear that the economy and the environment can and should go together. And this is an instance where improving the environment really improves local economies, both in the commercial fishery, tourism, and other elements. So this is a project where this is good for people in terms of them having more access to healthier natural environments, but it's also good for our human economies as well.
Well, okay, let's challenge that, because that's what we do on television. You are right, there is an economic benefit to fish, and there probably was for 15,000 years before you got involved, and I give you that. But I think what you have to give back is there is a tremendous economic benefit to electrification. Rural electrification, according to Robert J. Gordon in his 700-page book on the rise and fall of American growth, this is what liberated women on farms from backbreaking and actually killing work. It allowed people to have running water and not go to a well and chip the ice off it and get the water there. It allowed them to electrify barns, hydroponics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the biggest benefits to people is to be sufficient, if not self-sufficient, in food, and that means no poverty. Poverty takes 10 years off your life. So have you done that weighing of the costs and benefits?
Well, I'm very proud to work for the Conservation Council of New Brunswick, an organization that spent a lot of time thinking about sustainable energy production. And so we've been putting out advice for a long time, suggesting how we can responsibly and efficiently produce the power that we need to achieve the very aims you suggest. And so what I would suggest to you, however, is that Milltown Dam, while it does produce some electricity, it's a relatively small hydroelectric facility. It's a dam that risks blocking the natural flow of fish in the ecosystem. Even though there is a fish ladder, the fish ladder cannot handle the natural numbers of fish that would be returning to the river if they weren't facing barriers. And it actually doesn't hold enough much water, so it doesn't have a great capacity to produce more energy. And frankly, Milltown is equivalent to a large windmill in terms of its energy production. So yes, we need to produce energy responsibly and efficiently and locally. And that doesn't mean, and I'm with an organization that's long been providing advice and providing a pathway how to achieve those aims. I'm very proud to work with people like Lois Corbett and Louise Comeau, who are some of the big thinkers in the province and the country on how to move us forward on some of these big, tough questions. And we can do that while restoring fish on places like the Scoodic River, the St. Croix River.
Couple of seconds left. I wonder if there's anything you'd like to add before we wrap up.
I would just like to add that I really feel blessed to live on the shores of the Scoodic River. I like to take my daughter to see the alewife run every year, and I am just filled with excitement at this time of year. We see the fish running, and 5 years ago, I would not have predicted that things are going as well as they are on the river. And with removal of Milltown and continued hard work on restoration, I think we'll be able to even blow my predictions out of the water again in 5 years. Thank you very much for your time.
And we will check back. Thank you.